Have you heard what VWAP is? I, for one, did not know what VWAP was, even though I kept hearing about it. Everybody would mention it's coming to VWAP, it's going to VWAP. And I was like, what in the world is a VWAP? But in this video, I'm going to share with you what is VWAP and how can we use it as a buyer and a seller. Let's get into it. Well, we are here for another session of the charting challenge. Yay. Yeah. So we said we were going to talk about indicators, and we are going to talk about indicators. I'm going to share with you an indicator that I recently got much more clarification on, and we're going to say how we can use it for day trading as sellers, and I guess as buyers as well. So let's get into it. VWAP is the abbreviation for volume weighted average price, which is a technical analysis tool that shows the ratio of an asset's price to its total trade volume. The ratio of price to volume is really what VWAP is. It provides traders and investors with a measure of the average price at which a stock is traded over a given period of time. Generally, a VWAP session is going to be the daily session, but you can pick bigger sessions for the VWAP main line to be set. All right. So it doesn't have to be on day trading. It can be used for swing trading and for other things. It doesn't, but most people use it for the day trading sessions. Okay. Most people use it for day trading. Volume weighted average price. Okay, so it says here, VWAP is a technical analysis tool used to measure the average price weighted by volume. VWAP is typically used with intraday charts, like I said, usually in one day, as a way to determine the general direction of the intraday prices, which basically is saying it's a way to determine where price is going today. Intraday, which is in the middle of today. So it's looking to see where is price going today, right? VWAP is similar to a moving average in that when prices above VWAP, then prices are rising, and when prices below VWAP, prices are falling. VWAP is primarily used by technical analysts to identify market trends, okay? So even though I said VWAP is similar to a moving average from the standpoint of above prices are rising, below prices are falling, it's different from a moving average because a moving average is based on time. So moving averages take the last 14 periods, right? And then it'll say, okay, for the 14, if you got a 14 EMA or a 14 SMA, it's going to take the last 14 periods and average them together. It's basically time and price, time and price. That's what the moving averages does. But what VWAP does is takes the price and the volume at that price, which is moving averages are time-based and volume. The VWAP is volume based, which is important because we spent some time a few weeks ago. I know we put some, maybe it was early on, where we had some information in our chat about volume, about how when the volume is rising, then prices are rising, then that's a strong trend. And when prices are rising but volume is low, that may be the end of a trend. I mean, we do know that volume is what helps move prices in one way or the other. So if volume is, high and it can make prices, well, I say make prices will most likely go up. And if volume is high, but we're going down. So if it's high red, that means the prices that's a trend, a good trend going downwards. And then you can see that it say, okay, if volume is falling off, but price is going up, that may let you know that trends are going to change. Or volumes going down and volume's going down and the price is going down, that could let you know that price could possibly turn around as well. The key is higher volume will keep pushing the trend, whether it's upwards or downwards. The higher the volume, the more that trend will continue. When the volume starts to fall off, that trend is most likely going to fall off as well, right? So I'm saying all that to say, now when we link that information to the volume weighted average price, that's going to let you know that where are we trying to find the equilibrium in price, right? The VWAP helps us to see the equilibrium in price, right? So the volume weighted or the VWAP, I just keep wanting to call it the whole thing, but we can just call it the VWAP, right? The VWAP is based on volume and statistics. I've kind of talked through the volume thing, but the statistics piece is that the formula for the VWAP line, there is a formula. I don't think y'all want me to get into the math of it, but just know it is based on statistics. I was going to say standard deviation, but that's coming in second. It's based on statistics, which I think is a good thing because statistics is something that's going to endure, right? So that's like, doesn't matter as to whatever. You know, the statistics are going to be statistics. In every situation, they're going to stand true. So when you're using some type of indicator that is based on statistics, you can have a little more, I'll say the word, a little more faith in that, all right? So the VWAP includes standard deviation bands. I'm going to show you all this stuff on a picture or on a chart. But it includes standard deviation bands. The first one closest to the VWAP is the one standard deviation, which there's a top band and the lower band at the one standard deviation, and that's going to contain about 84% of price action. We've talked about this before a little bit when we were talking about what's been a while back, so I won't go into that. But one standard deviation contains about 84% of the price action between the two bands. The two standard deviations contains about 97% of price action, and three standard deviations contains about 99% of the bands. Okay, I wanted to show what my chart looks like when I turn on. Now this, let your eyes adjust because I know it's a lot, but I'm going to draw on the chart because I want you to be able to see. I'm going to make it bigger. That way we don't see as many of the stuff to the left and we can kind of tune in to what's going on per session. Okay, so this would have been yesterday. This would have been yesterday. I'm on the 30-minute chart. I could go to a different time frame. Generally, I don't know if we watch the 30 or the 15-minute, but let's go look at another time frame so you can see what's actually happening in this VWAP. Right, I'm bringing us together so we can see. This is yesterday. Right? I want everybody to see that each day, and you saw before it kind of jumps around from day to day, and it jumps because I have it set on the per session. Okay, let me get my pencils. So the VWAP line, this is the main line here. I made it bigger so it would stand out for me. All right. That's the VWAP line in the middle, the blue. It's the average. This is that average right here in the middle. Price wants to come back to VWAP, right? Price wants to kind of hang around here. Even if it bounces around to these outer bands, it wants to come back to VWAP. All right. So this green one is our one standard deviation. One standard deviation. And never you worry, I'm going to talk about, all this stuff. How do you use it? I'm going to get there too, right? How could you use it? So one standard deviation says that about 87% of the price action should stay in between these two bands. In between these two bands, 87% of the price action should stay in here, right? So it looks like we did drift a bit. Notice the bands are getting wider and wider to try to pick up that price action, right? That's the one standard deviation. Should be 87% of the data should stay within there. All right. So then let's go to two standard deviations. I'm not sure if I do yellow. I'm going to use orange. That'll be a little easier to see. So this out here is two standard deviations, which says about 93% of all price action should stay between these two. Right? Should stay between these two prices. So that means all the prices should be between the yellows. And you see how it's running up to the yellow. It's hanging out at the top of the yellow, comes away from the yellow and comes down. Now this year, because prices started to go down yesterday, this is where price stayed. Now it hovered around the bottom, turned itself, tried to go back to the middle of VWAP, did the same thing, hovered down here around the bottom, went back to VWAP, and then try to go back to VWAP, right? I want to make sure that you can see that about 90% of price action is inside of there, 93%. There is some stuff here like these over here that are outside of it. These here are outside of it, but very little of the price action for the day is outside of the two standard deviation. right? Very little is outside of 2 standard deviation. I think you're going to make some connections on your own as we keep talking about this, especially if you're trading 0 DTE on SPX or XSP. You're going to start to see how this could be useful to you. Hopefully you will. If not, I'll make it clear. All right. Then we have, I'm going to turn this to a red now. Okay. Red is and I made my outer band red because that's definitely like the farthest that price should go. It shouldn't go any further than the 3 standard deviations. That means almost all, 99% of price action will stay between these 2 red lines. Right, between 99% of price action will stay in between these red lines. So do we see that happened? Yes, we do see that happened, because even the places where price went down, it went out here, but it didn't stay out here, right? A little bit of this went out and came right back in on the next candle, right? So the thought here is that VWAP is that middle average, and it's set after 15 to 30 minutes. I'm going to talk about that in a second too. And then the price may dance around, but it's dancing around between these bands. It's going to dance around. So we can use these bands as ways to show us our outer bounds. And when we have outer bounds, we want to be where price is not going. Yes, we want to be where price is not going. So that's how we can potentially utilize this VWAP information, right? Most people use it for the daily. It can be used for the weekly if you use the anchored one. So you're going to have to, generally when you're using it, and I'm going to talk about the regular and the anchored, there's 2 types. If you anchor the VWAP to something, to a time frame or to a place, then it will basically set itself, and then you can use that to do weeklies and to do monthlies. If you just put on the regular VWAP, the non-anchored, then it's going to set itself each day. So when price is above VWAP, basically you need to know that the buyers are in control. When the prices are above VWAP, the buyers are in control, and you can sell put credit spreads on the rejects of the support, or you can buy calls, right? I've heard people primarily use it for buying stuff, but the same strategy holds, right? So if it's coming off of the support or reject above VWAP, then you can see that you can do put credit spreads, right? When the price is below VWAP, then the sellers are in control, and you could sell call credit spreads on the reject of that resistance, or you could buy puts, right? Or you could buy puts. You got 2 different options you can use on a daily basis. The good thing is that we're talking about, as we do our credit spreads each day, we're looking for, again, the outer bounds. Where won't price go? We want to know where won't price go. And we know that with this note here, price wants to return back to the VWAP. It wants to return back to the weighted average. So some people do, a reject off of the VWAP as their entries. If it comes back down and then rejects, or goes up and rejects off, some people use those as entries for buying particular things. But honestly, you could use that for credit spreads as well, because again, we just want to be where price is not going. We want to be where price is not going to be. You can find this indicator on TradingView or Thinkorswim. You can find it in either place. I'm going to show you. I showed it to you already on TradingView, but I'm going to show you exactly which one I found. And the standard deviation bands, we're going to put in 1.3, 2.0, and 3.0 on those when we're setting it up. Say, what kind of stuff do we want on our bands? How would we use it for day trades? We'd wait for the first 15 to 30 minutes to give the VWAP time to collect the data and set for the session. And then we use the 3 to 5. You really could use a 15-minute chart. For us, we could use 15-minute chart for the VWAP test as a buyer, and wait for the retest of VWAP before your entry, but you don't want it to close beyond the level that you're looking at. So if you're looking at the 250 level on the price, you don't want the price to close beyond that level, if that's what you're doing when you're getting ready to enter into your trades. Okay, I'm going to take us back to TradingView. Okay, on TradingView, I went to indicators. Indicators. If you're not, we're gonna look at it on Thinkorswim also. So never you worry. So when you put in VWAP, volume weighted average price, this was the one I selected, the volume weighted average price. Volume weighted average price. Of course, it's not going to let me pick that again because I don't need to. Volume weighted average price. And then once it's here, this up here in the top left is where it is. But this is the start of the session. So it hasn't had time yet to set its data. See now that even when I do that, it kind of showed how it was all coming together. This was the end of Thursday and the beginning of Friday. So it's starting a new session here. And definitely at least that first one or two candles, you're going to want to see those first. Right? Let it set let it set this blue line for you. Okay. So first candle basically of the day, it's again resetting itself, right? It's setting up. Let's go into the settings. I'm at the VWAP session and I'm at settings here. You got the bands, the VWAP itself. I made blue upper band, lower band of the number 1, which is the 1 standard deviation. I made that green, the 2 band, I made yellow, 3 band, I made red. You can pick whatever colors you want. I just wanted green, yellow, and red. I wanted to know which ones were like the outer bounds, and that's what's for me, right? Do you want the bands filled? I only picked fill for the first one, but you could fill all 3 bands, and then you pick your color to feel like I don't know if I pick it now. There we go. So the yellow filled in, and now the red one filled in. So all the bands fill in if you pick that, if you want it to be filled like a cloud. Right, I'm fine with just that first one being filled, but it's really up to you. Labels on the price scale, values on the status line. Okay, those are things you can leave there. Inputs. Session, we want it set to the session. So that's today's trading session, you want it set to that. And this code, this source is high, low, close 3. Now, the 3, TJ talked about why it's 3, and I don't remember what he said, but high, low, close makes sense to me. And maybe the 3 is that it goes back 3 bars. I'm trying to remember what he said. Anyway, I picked HLC 3. I know it's high, low, close. Offset was 0. I didn't do any. I left all this stuff the way it was. And the time frame is going to be based on what chart you're on. So if you want to put it on different time frames, if you put it on chart, then when you change the time frame, it'll automatically, the VWAP will automatically change to match that time frame, right? So this is, I changed it to 30, and this is yesterday. So it still, still gives you the bounds, but it gives them to you. There's not as many candles, so it's adjusted for the time frame that we're looking at. So y'all can see these are the different days. This was Friday, this was Thursday, this is Wednesday, this is Tuesday. Okay, that's going on with that. I wanted to be able, let me see if I didn't see on this one where it allowed me to change the standard deviation numbers. On that other one, it did. Okay, so this gives us our standard our little bounds here. Okay, I'm getting my Thinkorswim open. While we're doing that, you see we've got, again, price wants to come back to VWAP, even though it's dancing around. I wanted to say this. A week ago, so we had we had a strategy that TJ shared with us, which was the 6-line strategy, which the 6-line strategy, he told us, is good for momentum. If you're going in one direction, it's good for momentum. It's good for a trending day, is good for the 6-line strategy. The VWAP strategy is more so for a choppier day. So that's why I'm bringing this up, because we've got, if you're on trending days where there's a hard move in one direction, you got your 6 lines that you're working with. And if the price is more choppy and wants to go back and forth, or it's an inside day, then you can use the VWAP to help you to see what are the bounds going to be for trading on this particular day. It gives you 2 different things you can use depending on the environment of the day. And for us with our credit spreads, we don't necessarily do our credit spreads super early. And if you do, you need to just keep in mind that if you're going to use VWAP, you know that the price wants to return back to the VWAP. So you want to know that price wants to return back to the VWAP, so that way you can make your decisions based on that. You don't need to use it paired with the strat. The strat actually is a standalone type of thing, and many people use a VWAP as a standalone. Well, VWAP paired to whatever else they use, support, resistance, or whatever. Now let's go find the VWAP. Let's go to our studies. There we go. You know, I think I want to, let me see. Save a study set. I really think I have this study set saved, but I'm going to put, I think I have it saved as this moving average. Okay. So that way, when I change it up, I can come right back to it. Now let's go look for VWAP. I'm just typing in VWAP. Notice here you'll see anchored VWAP and VWAP. The anchored VWAP I was talking to you about includes, like, if you want to anchor it to a date or anchor it to something, then it sets that values for you. This will be used for longer periods of time, more than daily. Let's actually add our VWAP to the study, to our studies. There we go. And we're going to see if we can do some adjustments. Standard deviations. Okay, so VWAP, upper band, they're doing our pictures. I don't want that. So we want the first one to be, I want it to be 1.3. 1.3. And then this one, I want to also be 1.3. Okay, we want to show the study. Upper band, I'm going to change this to green. Lower band, I'm also going to turn to green because this is the first one that I have on there. So, okay, apply. You need to go down to below the time frame. This should be showing now, though. But that on TradingView, that's what happened. Okay, let's go back into studies. Where you at? Where you at, though? There it is. On TradingView, it did that. When I went to a lower time frame, it showed up. So let's go again. 2.0, that's what it was. Time frame on the day. Show plot names, input names, left axis, plot, bubble, title. Everything should be showing. Should be showing. Unless if y'all see something I'm missing, y'all let me know. Apply. Nothing changed. Not a sting. Okay, I'm going to also, now this really should have showed up because I don't know why it didn't. What am I missing? It didn't like it on SPX. Well, I wonder what's up with that. When I was on SPX, right? I wonder why it wouldn't show up on SPX. Anyway, I want to continue to add the other bands. Okay, I'm going to adjust this one to a different time frame. I'll try my 1.3 here. Okay, I'm going to go with the orangish. Oh no, I don't need the VWAP on that one, but okay, I'll leave it as blue because it'll still be the same one as that one. Orange, and then the lower band, orange. Okay. Apply. Okay. Now, I don't know if they have the cloud thing here. This is the VWAP is the blue line. This is that first one standard deviation is the orange, and the 2 standard deviation is the green. Right? Notice how all this price from SPY yesterday stayed between those 2 bounds. I want to see, we'll put it on demand because I want to see how does it fill in the bands. I want to see that. I want to see that in operation. It's easy to see it when you got it on after the fact, ATF. But what happens when it's in motion? We're going to add another one. This one we're adding this and this. I'll leave the VWAP band at blue, and then the upper band I'm going to make red, and the lower band I'm going to make red. This one says show the bubble and stuff, so I should be able to see the bubble. Okay, here we go. Making it bigger. Hope that doesn't bother anybody's eyes besides mine. Nope, is that the day? This is the day. This is the day. Okay, so notice we're here at the beginning when the session is starting. And we've got our upper and lower band. Almost the price almost went right in between here, open and close right here between these bands. Anyway, it danced around. Price went right through here, dropped a bit, came up to it again, dropped out further, went down as low as that third standard deviation, which bounded it back in. It stayed in, stayed in, stayed in. Continuing volume continued to form. Now, remind you, it's continuing to form based on the volume, not based on time. It's feeling based on volume and price, which is where this is forming, and then it continues. So as I guess volume maybe must have picked up as things were going down, and it continued to do its thing. Price still stayed, but it right around this VWAP. So honestly, while we were under, this is what I said earlier, while you're under VWAP, the sellers are in control. Under VWAP, sellers are in control. So we went above VWAP a little bit. Once we came back through and got under it, it stayed under VWAP the entire rest of the day. This is 11:30, right? So if you're putting on your zero DTE, putting on your zero DTE stuff right above VWAP, could be a place to do it because we're above it now. We got enough price action. We see what's going on. Could it push back through? Of course. But, if we're below VWAP, sellers in control, above VWAP buyers. We have some buyers here for a minute and they hit this strong, which I bet if we put our 6 lines on here, this would be the 6 line up. One of the 6 lines would be up here and it showed a reversal and back it came down. Back it came down. Okay, let's see if we can turn on demand. Thinkorswim always doing their maintenance on the weekends. So let's pick us a day and see VWAP fill in. Okay, let's pause you. Okay, wait a minute. There we go. Let's pause you while we get our time set. 09. I'm going to say 35. Okay, I'm going to put it on fast. Let's zoom in. This is the start of our day. The blue line is VWAP. First, 1 standard deviation is orange. Should have been the other way around. 2 standard deviations is green and 3 standard deviation is red. I wanted the green, orange, and red. I'm going to jump us ahead 10 minutes and see what happens. See what it looked like. What happened on August the 12th? Something happened on August the 12th. Where are we? Where'd you go? Everybody can comfortably see this? That big old wick. There we go. I'm on the speedy up time, so it's jumping every 3 seconds. Market's been open 20 minutes. I'm wondering though, if it makes more sense or if it would be useful to have VWAP to have like the extended hours, like to the pre-market and post-market times, or just to have it set for just the regular hours. It's a question I'd like to know. Would you set VWAP as just for the session, just for the session and not have the extended trading hours? Knowing that volume would be a little lower there. What time frame am I on? Oh, 30 minutes. I'm changing this to 15. We won't watch the same candle the whole time. Okay, we've got 9:57. Our VWAP is still sitting there. So now we're definitely under VWAP, huh? Let's jump us forward 10 more minutes. See what happens when price comes back to retest it, which it's doing right here. I guess it didn't like that test. Came back up close to it, rejected, back down here. Let's try again, potentially. And this is a 15-minute candle, so we're looking to see, will it close above it? It's not where it goes it's where it closes. So we're in the 10, this is the 10 o'clock candle, and it's going to close in another minute and a half. And it just may close above the VWAP, which will let us know that the buyers have stepped in and taken over control. I'm feeling like you could partner this with the 6 lines because the 6 lines is going to help you have your Your bounds too is going to have you have like previous day high and low and close, as well as opening range, which we're in the opening range right now. Okay, that candle closed above VWAP. The buyers have taken over. Let's move us forward 10 more minutes and see what happens. See if we stay above VWAP. There we go. It's still going on up a bit. Hey there, trader. I think I've discovered why most traders are not profitable or are not consistently profitable, and that is the lack of charting technical analysis. Yes, it is a lost art basically. We're looking at the chart. We see that the candles are going up and down, but not really knowing what is really happening. Everything you need to know, almost everything, like 99% of what you need to know, is in that chart. So I've created a training resource that is called Chart Your Way to 100K. It starts with the basics of what is a candlestick, all the patterns, all the things like that. Starts with the basics, and then it goes up from there. It includes candlestick patterns, chart patterns. It includes indicators. It includes what you should be looking at when you're charting, trend analysis, gap analysis, all these different things. Everything you need to go from no charting ability up to being a master charter, you can find in this Chart Your Way to 100K resource training. All right. You can go ahead and grab it at my website, educatortotrader.com. I promise you, this is going to make the huge difference in your trading consistency. All right. Go ahead and grab it. Buyers still have the con. So now we're at the 1030. This is the 10, actually this is the 1015 candle. This is around the time where you all start, well, you all, however, start to look at what's your entry going to be for your, if you're doing the PDT hack, you're starting to look for your entries around now, right? So price action staying in between the yellow so far, closing between the yellows. This one here kind of went out, but it went down to the green, which this is the first two candles getting itself established, but now we're in between the yellows. Price went up outside of the first standard deviation, but we've yet to close outside of there. I want to see what happens when the next candle starts. Like what does the VWAP do on the next candle? I'm gonna give it a couple minutes because I want to see what does it do on the next candle. Like, does it automatically jump to fill the lines? The buyers are squarely in control, though. We're coming up to the pre-market high. Well, it's dancing above it. You had your 6 lines. Okay, so this candle should be closing. I guess the candle doesn't close till the 45 minute went the 45, the minute of the 45 minute closes. Okay, yep, now we got a new candle. I'm gonna pause it. I wanted to see what happened when this candle closed. And when it did, it just moved on over the VWAP lines, just moved on over to the next candle that started doing its thing. Again, closed inside of the yellow. Once we got above VWAP, there you now have some thought that, again, that the buyers are in control, and then this level of VWAP or below could now potentially be your support spot for your put credit spreads. But let's see how the day plays. I don't know how the rest of the day plays out. I'm just looking at the price action along with you all. Change this to 11:57. Let's see what happens in an hour. Hey, we had a big old red candle in the middle of there. It came back through VWAP and then it's going back right back up to where we were. The buyer's like, we're not done yet. Don't try us. This actually is a pre-market low. Pre-market low line. One of the 6 lines I think that, oh, previous day close. I did have it marked. The previous day close was here. Previous day high, pre-market high is right up here. Price came right on back from down there. Opening range high. Did I put those things on here? Opening range low. How did that happen? Must have been a previous time. I was using the same date. Like these lines are perfect. They're right in place. Well, we want to dance around. Remember, price wants to come back to the VWAP. It wants to hang around at that average. The buyers don't want to give it up. Higher highs, higher lows, also forming. Higher highs. Both are. So now we're at 12 o'clock. Does it go 13? I think it does. Going forward an hour. And the reason I'm going through this is I want us to be able to see how does the VWAP standard deviation lines form throughout the day. Price came back down to VWAP, but it's now down at the lower, that yellow band. Long wick forming. Nope, I want this one. There we go. Ah, la la. Just keeps resetting. Every time I change something, it resets. The view. Look at price. Looks like price is kind of in a range though, huh? Even though we've got big moves on these candles, they're really staying between the pre-market, the previous day high and the pre-market high, and between the opening range low. I don't know what the previous day low was. It may be further down. I feel like I would have put that on there. Yeah, previous day low is at 528. We're collecting more data to where you're putting in depending on when you are during the day, deciding you're going to put in your credit spreads. Look, from what I can see, we've had the high of the day has been here, 535. It's been the high of the day, and the low of the day has been down here at 31. That looks like 531. And this would be 535 has been the high of the day and the low of the day, giving you some bounds. The green, 2 standard deviation. And it looks like this one has stayed inside the 2 standard deviations as well. So now we've got, actually this is coming up 531.5. And the green here is 535.5. You've got this is 131.11, a couple more hours left in the day. Let's move ourselves forward in time. No, don't go too far. Don't go too far. I thought I moved us forward in time. I guess not. 14. Moving us to a little after 2. Now, y'all know me. I try not to put a whole lot of stuff on my charts because it means I got too many things that look and can be distracting. But I do like the fact that these would show bounds and there's nothing to do with the 6 lines. You need to put those 6 lines on, which is not hard to do. Doesn't take long, but I'm just saying you have to do that and make sure that you label them. With the VWAP, you turn on the indicator and it's already on. You know what I mean? It's already there. You don't have to go and do anything. You already have the zones that are set for that session. You can use those 2 things in conjunction. You can use one or the other. Still looking at your supports, your resistance, watching your broadening formations. I was on a call last night learning more about broadening formations. It was clarifying. 2. Yeah. Okay, it says 215. We're still under the VWAP at this point. Moving to 315 or 316. Because we know, let's see how it operates when we get into that power hour. Because we know the power hour can be the dumbness. Now, what I am thinking though, we did talk about VWAP. I think I mentioned using the VWAP if you're going this way, but now it looks like it's underneath it. So you definitely would want to, we're looking for outer bounds anyway. So outer bounds being green and green. If you're looking for both sides, which generally we should be looking for both sides, we want to get as much money out of this as we can. So after we saw this was a good reject up here, this long wick let you know there was a good reject up here. This is where that call credit spread could have been turned on, right? And This was the low. This is kind of early, maybe a little early for your put credit spread, but looking back at it, we see that that could have been put credit spread territory. Even if you waited till later, till it came back, you know, you've had some potential entries using this, you know, bottom here, 531 as your sell leg, even as price came down into the five. This is actually in 531, and so is this. Could have given you opportunity once these came in and rejected. You could have entered a put credit spread there later in the day, because once price got into proximity, you would still be able to get some decent low premiums, you know. But you knew this was, you could see that this was low of day, and we never came back to this. And this was high of day, you never came back to this. So 535. Now this one, if it got away your opportunity to get back in, you could have used this opportunity. Maybe this one. This is 534 and some change. Yeah. So if you had used 535 when the price was touching, you could have done that, or rejecting off these areas. This is 534. That ain't that far away. You could still have gotten some good premiums as price just kind of started to really consolidate going into the last hour of the day, depending on when you wanted to look at it. For 0 DTE, we're picking out the times that we see are the best times to enter at the outer bounds. At the outer bounds. Taking us to the last 15 minutes. Price still hanging out between the yellows. Wick trying to come down in there, but the price stays above. When they try to, you know, trap people in there on that last 10, 15 minutes. Y'all see that last candle. So if you had your low of day, which was 531, it's still there, 530, 531, it ends up you still in that zone, and 535 still in the zone. Do we want to look at it on another stock? We'll look at SOXL. I thought SOXL was going to have a move up yesterday, but shoot, NVIDIA fell off the map. So we're still above the VWAP here, and it's 11:30 on the time. We're above VWAP. So this would be putting you in, you know, again, we're looking at what we're doing for the day. This is considering day trades, right? Looking at what kind of motion are we doing for a day trade. Still above the VWAP. Ooh, support down at 457 at this point. All this is momentum, but you are going to want to watch. I don't have the volume turned on but you are going to want to see. Let me put that on here. What is the volume looking like? Because maybe not that one. You need to see if the volume is still picking up or if volume is starting to fall off. Show volume subgraph. Show volume subgraph. Apply. Okay, so here we are. Even though the prices are still going up, this volume is going down. Volume is going down, which can be an indication that, yeah, volume's going down. Could be an indication that this trend is getting ready to turn. And what do we see? Soon after that, a wick. I need the volume with the colors. How do I get the colors on my volume? The red and the green. Volume subgraph. I want colors though. Display the settings on the style menu. Okay, let me see. It says display the settings. Where they at? Display this setting on the style menu. Uh-oh, look, the volume picked up on that one. But I can't see if it's red or green. I need to see the colors. That's gonna matter. But this volume is equaling to that, and price is, uh-oh, I didn't want that either. Climbing. So could it keep going now? We got some high volume. Something stepped in at what, 12:30? Something happened. Let me see if I can put it on here. I don't want volume average. Oh, they get you too many choices. I just want regular old volume. I don't really pick any of these. I'll just use the one at the bottom of the screen. But I really want this to have some colors. Let me see for our next candle. Okay, so we're still hovering around this yellow. What do y'all think is going to happen soon? Y'all think it's going to decide to pull back off of that or go up to the green and turn back? I don't know what happened on this particular day, but let's see. Remember I was saying what's going to happen up here while it's hovering? It went to the green. It was hovering at the yellow, went up to the green and turned back. This was where I moved us forward here. When I said it's hovering around the yellow, what do y'all think is going to happen? It went up to the green, which was the second standard deviation, and then it came back from there. This first yellow one is the one standard deviation. The one standard deviation between here and here, right, is going to keep about 87% of the, didn't I say 87%? 87% of the price action should stay between these two bands as we go forward. Should stay between these two bands, should be 87% of the price action should stay there, okay? So the two standard deviations is the next band up. Two standard deviations, 2SD. Actually, I changed the one, not in this case. Yeah, I changed it to 1.3. I made this 1.3. So that actually would hold about 90%. That would hold about 90% because I changed it to 1.3. Get a little bigger. Between these two is 90% of the price action should stay between these two, right? Two standard deviations between these two, about 97% of price action should stay between the greens. And then the reds are three standard deviation, and 99% of all of the price action should stay between these two bands. Again, that's stats-based. Statistics don't shift around based on manipulation, yada, yada. Those things are statistics-based. So that to me, math is trustworthy. I'm like the girl in Hidden Figures. The math is dependable. Math is dependable. So you see how price pretty much stayed in the yellow above the VWAP because the VWAP is the average. The price wants to come back to the mean. Price always wants to come back to the mean, which is the average, right? So even if it dances around up here, it did, and then it went on up to the second standard deviation and bounced off of there and came back to the first. Now, these will also provide some support and resistance, and it still hasn't found its way back to the average. It may do that as the day continues to progress, but that's what's happening there. Price action is being contained within these bands, so you could potentially use these bands to help you with determining your prices, where are you going to put your call credit spreads and your put credit spread sale legs. This could be used for that. That's why I was showing us VWAP, because this is how you can potentially use that to help you set another way to help us set this high 462. That was the high for the day. The low for the day was down here when we opened. We stayed above VWAP the whole time, which let us know that the buyers were in control, and VWAP could have been your support area, or your put credit spread strike could have been down around VWAP if you were concerned that it was going to come back. Let me go and bring that back up. Moving averages are based on time and what the price has done, time and price. Moving averages is working with time and price. The VWAP is working with volume and price, which is going to be different because the volume is going to determine where the price moves. Time is just a passing factor, and it has no bearing. Time is nothing is being adjusted by time except for it's just passing. Volume, on the other hand, as volume is going up and down, right? As volume is increasing and decreasing by people buying and selling, or just more volume coming in, then that's going to create that's going to create the space and the price for what is a good average price. This is where those who are buying things are determining what is a good price for this. Are we getting the best bang for our buck? So you have price and volume comes right down to how much money was actually spent, right? Volume weighted average is a technical analysis tool used to measure the average price weighted by the volume, right? Generally, it's used for intraday times, but it is price and volume. I'm trying to make sure that it's real clear that moving averages, they are very similar, but moving averages are time-based, and the VWAP is volume-based. Both of them include price. The only other variable for moving averages is how many periods are we going back to provide you with this data. With VWAP, you're looking at the price and how much volume is included for us to get to this, for this price. Okay. Seems like it's used by a lot of those who purchase large amounts of stock shares to see what is an average price. What's the best value for their book. It provides traders and investors with a measure of the average price at which a stock is traded over a given period of time. So that period of time can be the daily session. It can be over a week. It can be over a month. What is the average price that is the price of this stock over that period of time? But time is not the variable that gives you the number. Volume and the price work together, right? Volume helps provide that price. And then on moving averages, time gives you that. So they're similar, but no, they're not the same. Let me get back to these charts again. I talked about the standard deviations here. One standard deviation, 84% of the price, but I changed it to 1.3 on the TradingView, not TradingView, on Thinkorswim. I changed it to 1.3, which made this go up to 90% within that first band. Two standard deviations, 97%, contains 97% of the price action. Three standard deviation band, that red one should contain 99% of all the price action should happen between those three bands, that red and red band. When price is above VWAP, the buyers are in control. You can sell put credit spreads. When price is below VWAP, sellers are in control and you can sell call credit spreads or buy puts, buy calls, however you want to do. Remember, price wants to return back to VWAP. Price wants to come back to the VWAP to set it up.
Which is the average?
Which is the average. That blue line in the middle.
The middle, okay.
The average. So this blue line in the middle is this here in the middle is the VWAP. Okay. Let me see this one here. When you hear people saying it's retesting VWAP, it's retesting this average piece which is in the middle. This is the one standard deviation, the two standard deviation, and the three. But the VWAP is that line in the middle. The main line. So we're going to use it for day trades. You want to wait at least 15 to 30 minutes to give VWAP a chance to collect the data and set it. If you're buying, you can do 3 to 5 minute chart if you're operating as a buyer. If you're operating as a seller, then keep your 15, 30 minute time frame because we're waiting a little longer anyway. We want to wait for the top to be set, bottom to be set. We're looking at that stuff. So the 3 to 5 minute thing doesn't necessarily suit us as sellers, but if you're doing it as a buyer, you can use those charts to help you with your entries. You want to wait for the retest of VWAP before entering. The wicks are okay, but you don't want it to close beyond the level that you're looking at. So retesting VWAP is all right, but if it closes below or above what you're looking for, then that means it may be crossing over the VWAP, and you're going to want to be mindful depending on how you're trading. The difference between this one, which is TradingView, and the Thinkorswim is that this one, I don't have the extended trading hours. I don't have that turned on here. But when I'm in here, I had to see all this extended hours.
Okay. All right.
So I don't, which is interesting too, because over here, SPX shows on this VWAP. On TradingView, SPX shows on the VWAP, but not on Thinkorswim. It did give us the VWAP, but it did give it to us on SPX. It's not giving it to us now. Turn off the replay. But yes, it showed it on SPX. SPX. There we go. Here, I don't have the extended hours. Well, SPX doesn't even have extended hours. But I don't have the extended hours turned on. And that may be why. Let me see what happens here. Oh, same thing. But when I'm in Thinkorswim, I have the extended hours turned on. So it just comes right in off of what's there.
In this information we're really looking at it just for the day. Every day you're deciding for a 0 DTE, possibly.
VWAP is daily, but let's go look at what happens when you change it to anchored. Because anchored, I know there are several people, not just you, and I'm glad you're asking me about that again so I could go back to it. Okay, I want this, and I want the study. Let me see, edit my studies. I'm going to take off, let me see what VWAP anchored looks like. Anchored VWAP. Add selected. Apply. Let me see what that looks like on here, because it may look the same as these others. The thing with the anchored VWAP, I think you need to pick where you're gonna anchor it. So let's go see what the settings look like. See, you have a date here. Are you anchoring it back to the beginning of the week? Are you anchoring it? So let's say we were looking at the 12th, we're on the 13th. Let's say we want to anchor it to that week. Right? We're in August. 2020. No, we're in 2024. Boy, don't want to let me go any lower. What's up with that? I want you to anchor it way back. Why can't we get a 4 in here? I wonder why. Let me see if I can type in my own date. Let me anchor myself. Okay, so I anchored it to 8/12/24. Let me see if we can apply it and anchor it to this week, the week we're in. We're in discovery mode right now, Mr. Mac. I might need to change the color to something else. That way we can see the difference. Or I turn off those other ones. Because at this point, I don't need these. We were just looking there. Okay, so this is the only one that's left. And I anchored it to 8/12, which would have been here. And it probably started in the pre-market here. Yep, you see here? It's anchored there. It's not real clear because it may need to be a little darker, but it anchored to right here. So once it got some data here, then you got it forming for the rest of the time all the way up until where we currently are. So if you want to anchor it for the week, you could say, I want to do the anchored VWAP. I'm on Thinkorswim. The study is anchored VWAP. Yeah. You could just type in VWAP and it'll pop up VWAP. And the one here, anchored VWAP, pops up. You can select that and then add it to your studies. And then I went in under settings. Once I pick the settings, you can just type in the date you want. So in our case, we would want, 09/31 is going to be Monday's 30 or 31 Monday to 9/29, 30 is going to be 30. Right? Today's the 28th, tomorrow 29th, so Monday will be 30. Yes, ma'am. And then 2024, that can be our anchor. And if you want to change these, maybe you want to go to the farthest one out, or you want all three, you can put more than one on there. And then turn on you want the VWAP. I'm going to make it blue again. The upper band, I was making orange. And the lower band, you don't have to go with the colors. The colors are totally up to you. Apply. And okay. Okay. Now, of course, that's not going to anchor till subsequently because we're inside of our on demand. Let's turn off on demand and see if we can see. I made the 2.0, so they would have been the second one. So there's 1.3, 2.0, 3.0. So 2 standard deviation is going to be where 97% of the data should stay between in here. Yep, 97% of price action should stay inside of here. But then now you got VWAP that was keeping you centered along the way. You can assume that it's going to come back in there. It wants to come back to the mean. So that's why you see what come right on back in, right? Dances around a bit, right? Because the purple is the VWAP right there. And then you come the next day, stay dance around a bit, but stay below the 2 standard deviation. It came right on back to the mean. Something else to potentially add to your tool bag. We don't want too many tools in the tool bag the way we get ourselves paralyzed by analyzing. But if we got tools that are going to support what we're trying to do, that's different, right? So, we don't want any indicators that we don't need, but if we can use tools that are going to help support what we're trying to accomplish, then that's what we want. That's what we want.